Alrighty, so we're already into the fourth insight for this week. Gosh, that's gone quick. Anyway, so section 47, we're done with 46. Really, really great stuff. And I rambled on for too long again, but never mind. Okay, so 47, well, actually, the end of 46. Just remember to give thanks, practice virtue and holiness, but say thank you for the gifts you have. Section 47. I'm actually just going to go to the section heading because it's kind of brilliant. So, they'd ended a story, and John Whitmer, who'd served as a clerk to the prophet, initially hesitated when he was asked to serve as the church historian and recorder, replacing Oliver Cowdery. Now, John Whitmer wrote this: "I would rather not do it." Who has felt like that? But observe that the will of the Lord be done, and if he desires it, I desire that he would manifest it through Joseph the seer. So he's saying, I'd rather not do this calling. I really don't want to. However, if the Lord wants me to do it and he manifests it through Joseph, then I'll do it. And he did for many years. Then he kind of went inactive, which is a bit sad, argument over some things, but never mind. The point is, we don't always want a calling and the associated gifts that come with it. Even if we have a gift in that area, we might not necessarily want that calling. And then there's some callings that we do that we're not good at, and we suffer through them, doing the best that we can, and don't necessarily learn anything. It's not really for any benefit for anything, but it's just that purpose at that time. We needed for that purpose in place. So, I would rather not do it, but if it's the Lord's will, okay. So how many of us have felt like this when we've received a calling, right? It's not even about because we need to learn something or grow, although that happens most of the time. But it's not even about that. It's not like, oh, I've got this calling because I need to learn, because people say that, oh, you need to grow in this. I'm like, oh no, not always actually. Sometimes it's just because the Lord needs someone to be in that position and you're available. So yeah, the Lord just needs our help to do this one thing or several things. We all have a place and purpose. This goes back to our talents. So recently our bishop said to me, oh, we've called this new librarian, but she's only sort of just come back into church activity, and she's Samoan speaking, and her English is okay, but it's marginal, and she's an older lady, doesn't know how to use a photocopier, and they want someone to help train her. And he said, can you go help? And I'm like, sure. Because to me, I could do that super, super easy. I could go in there, tidy it up, do the photocopying, salute the wall and out and go. 5 minutes, done. For her, that's going to be a long period of growth. Now, I don't have to go in there. I could say, I don't really want to do this. Do I really have to go do this? I've already got a calling, and I already do service somewhere else, and I've already planning to do this other thing, and it's just oh, but I have these skills and abilities. Our dear bishop has the gift to see this in people that we just talked about. He knows who's good at doing what. He can see that. And he knows the sister's going to be good. And I can see that too. I know she's going to be good because she's always smiling and she will try. And that's what the Lord wants, right? Effort. So I patiently went and stood with her and taught her a few things, like even A4 paper size, because that's what we have in New Zealand. Not 8 by 12, whatever you guys have in. It's 8 1/4 by 10 1/2, or whatever is in the States, some weird shape. Anyway, picking on America again. So yeah, and really lovely to talk to her. And I've talked to her before briefly, years ago when she was coming to church then, but she's been made to feel excluded because of her language barrier. Not because anyone's been mean to her or anyone's picked on her, but the language barrier has made her feel excluded. And it's not that we've done that on purpose. We're just talking and don't think about it. So these are often things that if people are feeling excluded, maybe you're just not thinking it through. Whereas the teacher could have spoken a little slower, could have asked her to participate in Samoan, because there are other Samoan speaking sisters in our ward that would have appreciated her voice. So there's ways to do that. But anyway, I went and talked with her, helped her out, and I'll continue to do so. Do I really want to do this? No, not particularly. But if the Lord needs me to do it, and bishops ask me to do it, sure, I'll happily go do that. And I'll take the time to go do that. It's not that I'm going to learn anything. I might, but it's not about a reason or a purpose for me to learn anything. It's just that the Lord needs my help right now with that one thing. So sometimes that's what callings are. This isn't even a calling. This is just a, can you help? And sure, of course. We all have a purpose and a place. So President Thomas S. Monson, he said, "We are the Lord's hands here upon the earth. With the mandate to serve and to lift his children, he is dependent upon each of us." We are the Lord's hands here on the earth. The Lord can't go and help this dear sister in the library work the photocopier. He's not here. He needs me to do that. He needs me to help. There's a lot of people that need helping. That's one thing I can do. It doesn't take much of my effort. It's okay. Sometimes things are a lot harder and they take more effort, but it's still okay. Sometimes the Lord just needs our help with something. So give it a shot, give it a try. And, you know, maybe you'll get some spiritual gifts if you desire them and you earn them. Like, because not earn them as in I have to do so much to earn them, but earn them because you're doing the work in that calling. You will earn the spiritual gifts that inherently go along with it. And again, sometimes that's not going to be anything because maybe you've already got the ones that were there. You know, it's a thing. It's interesting. All right, that's that. But yeah, I like that from John Whitmer. I think it was kind of cool. That I don't really want to do it, but if the Lord wants me to do it, then okay, I will. Because being a church historian would have been a lot of work, I can imagine. I've seen our church history library out here in Templeview, and there's a lot of work gone into that. And I have even no interest really in visiting it. So I'm sure it's interesting, but not really to me. And a lot of people probably wouldn't be. So, but we still need to keep a record, right? And someday it will be interesting to somebody, actually to a lot of people. So I can imagine his hesitation, and I didn't really want to do it, but I'm going to do it because the Lord does want me to. So keep that in mind when you're asked to do a calling. Of course, pray about it because sometimes it's not the right time for you. Just briefly, I know I've been out in Porirua when I was living down there. It's about 6-7 hours from Hamilton, where I live now. And Bishop called me into his office, and I'm like, cool, right? And he's like, we want to call you to teach the young adults. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, why? What's wrong? I'm like, because I'm moving. And he's like, well, you can teach them until you move. I'm like, well, yeah, but I'm moving next Saturday, so I won't even be here Sunday. It's my last Sunday here. I did tell you this. He's like, oh, okay, all right then. Okay, you know, and just gonna fill out. So sometimes, right? Yeah, that was my little experience. It was always quite funny. Called to teach. For a week I wasn't even there. It's weird. Another time I got called, asked to teach Sunday school, and I said, well, I would be happy to, but I'm about to go into hospital for a surgery on bowel cancer, and I don't know how sick I'm going to be. And as it turned out, I was sick for a good year afterwards, so I couldn't have done it anyway. So sometimes you need to pray about these callings and actually say no, and that's okay if it's not cool with you, if it's not good. But be open to the callings that you maybe don't want to do, but do them anyway if you can. And if you can't, that's okay too. All right? Got it. Right. See you in a bit for the fifth one. End one for the week. Okay.